So today's problem statement and the case study where we are going deep and we're doing a deep dive in is around how BlueLearn grew from nearly like just a small WhatsApp group, then a Discord. They used to run their community, at a decent sizable level on Discord. Post that, they moved the whole community as a product to their own app, built a business around it, and they today have about 150,000 members in their community. And I'm very, very glad to sort of bring, Chandan Perla, who was one of their, I think, fourth hire, and he's been leading the community for them. But just a quick sort of background. So he's head of community and growth at BlueLearn. He was founder of High on Tranquility, which was country's largest regional network, had about 100,000 plus, subscribers on Spotify. He was also a young scientist awardee, in 2016 for, some research in thermodynamics that he did. So sort of a child prodigy, also built a health tech startup called Absolute Tech. And then, worked with teams of Mr. Beast, which is the largest followed YouTube channel. And he's done a lot of other things. I'll let him talk and maybe give a couple of minutes of background about himself.
Everything that I do started from there. I absolutely hated the way how things work, especially where the only goal people consistently worked for is getting into an IIT college or any college. Sure, that's great, but the approach which has been taken is not something I'm a big fan of. And that's when, coming from a small city, like a tier 2 city called Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh, this is the only behavior that I've seen, which is not right. And that's when I was like, bro, we should really get in culture in the city. And when it comes to culture, I don't think there is a better way than stand-up comedy, because that was booming. So stand-up comedy is something that I was extremely fascinated by. And back then we started something called as Amaravati Comedy Club. In the initial stages, we didn't have money to get people, to get the comedians. But that made me become a presenter / host / stand-up comedian, which started driving people. And later we were in a position of hosting people 2 years down the line, we are currently hosting people like Kenny Sebastian on a regular scale. So when we look at BlueLearn, one big thing that we hear is community of 220K plus members. Sure, we've seen companies advertise their social capital as community, but we are hell-bent on the point of numbers being people who have an option to interact with us. So our quick story begins from Hari's YouTube channel, where we basically started at, that has been the funnel opener for us. Curious Harish, I'm sure a couple of you might be knowing it. We started out with that YouTube channel where today the channel has 160K. He started talking about entrepreneurship. In the initial stages, we've seen a lot of people comment in the chat section below. And then we were like, cool, how about we do something better? So that part better comes in the next slide. When we say a community of 220K, it's like 68,000 people on Discord. We use nearly 25,000 people on WhatsApp in a part of our WhatsApp groups, which we majorly use as announcement channels. And then our app centrically has around 175K users as we speak right now. These are fairly big numbers. Cool. But I believe community is something that makes sense when things happen, things flow. That's where we get to the point now. As I said, our funnel opener has always been Hari's YouTube channel, as in the beginning, where we were at 160K. Later, when we started diving deep into the space of how about we just put them in a Telegram group. The basic thing that we were all aware of is this is during COVID, Telegram is booming. How about we just put them in Telegram? People are having random discussions. Telegram groups were growing at a pace of 200% growth week on week. So what is the value that we're giving? We just don't want people to have any random discussion, right? Sure, people are having good discussions. How about we moderate them? How about we help them to do something that's utter more basic and simple, right? And that's where we simply started going ahead with we used to interact with the audience every day from around 4 to 6. We just used to speak in English, right? And that has sounded like a big deal for a lot of people, which should not be, because it's as simple as a tool with which you communicate with people, right? But this is not something that should not happen. All right. So that's where we went ahead with, we were like, a linear chat is all right, but where do we go next? Where do we go forward with? Is where the entire factor of Discord comes into the game. So adding on to the numbers, it is more than 330 XYZ K number of people, but I just cut down so many overlap as well. And I'll tell you why we do not have a lot of overlap as well. So when we built a community on Discord, we've seen a lot of activity from just one English VC as something that we started with to a point of 24 different channels, like ranging from people just listening, vibing to music, to a point of open mics, gaming tournaments, Web3, and design, tech, anything and everything has been happening on Discord. So we reached at a point of 68,000 people in 1.5 years. All right, that's cool. But what's next is when we went to the app. But before that, I would like to talk a little bit about building 0 to 1. So whenever we say building 0 to 1 is hard, it definitely is. So as of my experience, these are 3 important things that any community builder has to focus on. And they majorly being funneling, a major point where you get the people from, and then niched experience. For the people who come, don't give a generic stuff. Give them their experience-based, what do you say? Treat them based upon their experience. Majorly, it's like, when you dive down into different niches is where it's like, I know how to treat someone who came here for a design growth, maybe someone who came here to learn about product, maybe someone who came here for tech, or maybe who just came here to network. So treating everyone differently and then giving them a personalized experience is our one big thing that we always had since the beginning. And then when it comes to the vibe, there is nothing that kills more than the vibe. I'll tell you why. If you have an insanely well provided resource space, but you don't have people who resonate the experience or the experience. I just repeated that. So if you don't have the people to communicate with who keep on resonating the vibe, it does make absolutely no sense. And that's where the entire game of moderators in a friendly way comes in. And definitely, when there are moderators, there are things go that up and down, for sure. So then we were like, cool, we've grown up to 68,000 people on Discord. What is next? Is where the game of BlueLearn app comes into the picture. So there were a lot of questions, especially we ourselves were ambiguous as to what is going to happen. So is everything that we built, what's going to happen to it? Is where I have been deliberating, and then we deliberated over a long period of time before we making that switch. So that's when we got to the point of building the app. Sure, building the app is important, but for that, we needed resources. We are a bunch of 21-year-olds trying to do something which very few people were able to do, or in our subcontinent, very few or none were able to do. Because building communities on the app is something that nobody knows. There is no specific playbook. We just have to figure out step by step. And that too, we needed a lot of resources. That's when the initial round of 450K happened. And then that's when we've seen an insanity growth on Discord, all the community platforms. We were like definitely sure about it. And that's when we raised our seed round of $3.5 million from Elevation. Everything focused the point of building the BlueLearn app. What is going to happen on the BlueLearn app? We just looked at 2 things. One couple of problems that we have on Discord compared to the app is, sure, we are a community now. We are a company now. At this point, we currently have so many number of people which we consider the core of BlueLearn/Cleanify as a community/company. But what if tomorrow something goes wrong and Discord just says, shuts down the server of BlueLearn? What's going to happen? it's something that we don't even want to think, right? Similarly, what if we were able to analyze people better? So we need better analytics, and then we want to customize the experience. As I said before, never go for a generalistic approach, but always specify. For example, when I know that here there is Ritin, I know that I'm going to specifically talk about proof of work. I know that at this point, he's going to giggle. And when I see there is Pawan Pawar, he's definitely going to talk about content creation, early stage scene, and then building startups, being active. Guys, this guy is in class 12 and he's doing insane for his age. And then all these are the people that I just came across by just building communities and then being a part of communities, being active. That's it. So how do we provide this experience is where the customization game comes in. Next slide. What do we want to do on the app is where these 3 points come into the picture: learn, earn, and network. When we look at India as a subcontinent, we look at, as I said, going back to the thought 01, people who make it to great institutions, great places are the only people who get great opportunities or make something big in life. Sure, definitely. There are people who are from places what you even not heard of, but doing insanely great. There are people from the biggest places of all time, but not doing something significant. There are always these cases. But this should not be a reason for institutions, people from different places to get exposure as an important factor. That's when, as of analyzing the experiences on Discord, we've seen people come together. We wanted to build a platform which gives learning, earning, and networking. It's like a trilogy. Anyway, so when we initially started with learning, one thing which we're definitely sure of is we don't want to sell courses. I have great respect to institutions, billion-dollar companies, billion-dollar businesses who are doing that. Insane respect. But when it comes to us, we do not want to sell courses. We don't want to go in the most simple way possible. We want to go for something that requires peer-to-peer learning. So if I want to learn editing, I do not want to learn maybe something like a course, right? I don't want to take a course. How about Nimish, who is at 70% at editing, teaches me who's at 50%, and maybe Nimish, who's at 70%, can learn from XYZ, who's at 80, 90, 100%. So this gratification circle is what we've always wanted to build, is always that we strive towards. And that's when we've tried and tested something called as TMLF, Teach Me Like a Friend, on Discord, which was insanely growing well, where people just wanted the gratification that they are capable of their providing good value to someone who is trying to figure that out. Sure, this is level 1, pillar 1. People have learned the skill. People have got the skills that they're looking for. But how about now you got the skill, how about you make money out of it? When it comes to India, sure, there are tons and tons of places, a lot of people, insane number of people try to look for jobs and opportunities. But a lot of them turn out to be not so good ones and not so legit ones and not so value-driven work, not even being paid well. And these are the characteristics where we wanted to build a platform where people get opportunities. So that's where the entire factor of earn comes in. And then the third piece, sure, you've come, you've learned, you made money, and what would make you come back to my app again? What if I give you friends that will hold you down to the roots of this app for a period of time? And that's when network comes into the game. So cool. This is an ecosystem of learn, earn, and network. So what next? Here I have to tell you a little bit of story of Uber. How many of you have seen this TV show called Super Pumped? So this is like the story of Uber, how it initially went from 0 to 1, 1 to 100. Majorly, they focus on 1 to 100. So one of the lines that absolutely fascinated me is that, so to the investor, the founder says that, so when the investor asks, how good is the retention? He just says that let people use the app for twice, let people use the service for twice, and they'll be your customers for life. That's great. That's insane. How about we figure out something like that for us? This is very, very, very ambiguous at that point. This is very, I was like, is this something that can happen? That's when we were testing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different cohorts. I can't say thousands. I'm not sure we touched the 1,000 cohort mark yet. So that's when we came up to this point of, if you message 6 times, I'm sure there is a 49 to 50 to 55 to 60% chance that you are going to be there on day 30 for me to say hi and have a good conversation catch up. And that's where the point of entirety comes in. When we say we started out of Discord, sure, we've done 24 different streams, 24 different things we've done. Cool. That's great. That's beautiful. Now, adding on to the previous point of the 6 activation messages, how would I make someone message 6 times? Sure, definitely that 6 is scattered across different parts of the app, but how would I make them break that initial ice? It's basically like you going to going to school for the first day, and then you are among the bunch of strangers. How would I make you feel comfortable to send messages? It's as simple as focusing on events. On Discord, we've tested more than 450 events, bare bones level on the platform. So these ranged anything from English VC that happened every day to a point of book clubs, to a point of open mics, hackathons, designathons, anything and everything. So cool, we've done that. And now we are on the verge of getting that onto the app. How about I make a first insane vibe check with you? Is majorly by you talking to me or we getting in a one-on-one call or anyway, right? The onboarding has to be insanely good. So that's where we see events as one of the important factors, but not the most centric points. Sure, event-led growth is something that we focus on. And here comes the point why. When we look at English VC, hackathons, designathons, movie nights, gaming tournaments, and open mics, everything and anything that happened on Discord, now how do we fine-tune it for something that works on the BlueLearn app? And that's where the game of this comes in. When we say we are a platform for people to learn, earn, and network, we've doubled down recently. We've focused our 90% plus resources, like close to 80 to 90% of our resources, majorly on work. We are trying to figure out the best way how someone can hire people or someone can get an opportunity under 3 minutes. This is where we are working on. So that's the focus that we had. How about we help people to get opportunities super quick, like lightning fast? This is something we're still figuring it out. We are trying to get the bridges of gaps real quick. Definitely, man. Gonna get meditation advice from you. So this is the point where BL work, the work sector of the BlueLearn app, we focus on BL work. It's called BL work, and we've just been focusing on that, and we're able to scale it to more than more than 80,000 people applying for jobs over the period of time in the last 6 months. Once we started doing that, dude, the numbers are great, but what is our special thing? What is something that we can really build upon? What is that Gen Z thing? We don't look at resumes, right? Especially when we look at things like proof of work. I see a lot of communities, especially Ritan is a big believer of proof of community. Good work, great work, man. So that's when we collaborated with a lot of communities like this who focus on proof of work. Sure, we doubled down on proof of work. How about proof of work being the language of hiring people, not resumes, not LinkedIn? Where here you see, let's say if I'm looking for an editor, I know that this is the type of work that I want. This is exactly what I want for me to be done. And that's where proof of work came into the picture. So where is the hook? This has been our North Star metric for tons and tons of people uploading proof of work, getting validated. This is highly operations intense, right? So when it comes to the point of hook, you would come to a hiring app majorly to come, apply, and then come back a few days later to check back the progress. But what would make you come back again and again and again? Here comes the game, where people come for the job opportunities, people learn from peers and events, people stay for the network. This is something we're in the very initial stages of trying to build, brainstorm. Anybody in the chat, any ideas, happy to just drop me a message on any platform, even if it's 3 a.m. because we're Gen Z and we don't sleep. So happy to get on a call and then brainstorm more on that. Anyway, going back to the point of what is the point of having communities, right? What is the difference between a company that has community to a point of someone who's building an app without a community-centric approach? So while I was talking and discussing the same thing with product team, engineering team, and the design team. So the product team, it has been a breeze for them to get customer feedback for a lot. So it's as simple as, hey dude, I'm sure that you use this feature. So how was your experience has been? What was the friction that you had? What was the hiccup that you've been through? And then when it comes to engineering, like everything, we know that it's laser focused majorly because of the things that we tried, tested. We know what works, what doesn't, what experience it should provide based upon our experience on Discord or any other platform. And then here comes the design part. So there are a couple of things that we do. As I previously mentioned, we organized design-a-thons. We were like, cool, how about we give the opportunity to work with someone from the community itself, someone who can come up with an insane idea or any idea we can take inspiration from. So that's when we organized a couple of hackathons, and then we used to get an ideas, we used to work with them, and then so we used to work on we used to get them an internship. So everything like that. So that is what differentiates anything else to this. And one thing that I've seen focus double down on is community-centric approach is all the time. Yeah, CLG as Nipun is mentioning in the chat. And that's the mic drop, guys.
Lovely to have you. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is how you can think structurally, architect your community when you are transitioning from, let's say, one platform to other. Think for vibe, think for the use cases, think of the culture you want to create. And then there is a science of activation, retention. I'm sure this is figured out product science, and all of us, if we spend enough time, we can learn that. And I would really urge all the listeners, all the participants here to start learning these community growth metrics, how they work. And hopefully we'll do a separate session on it. But till the time being, there is a lot of content out there on the internet. Spend some time in upskilling, the technical skills to build a community, which is what we as Community Hood have lately started niching down on. And we'll bring more such sessions to you. Thank you so much, Chandan. Lovely having you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for everything, man.